Hi, I wanted to talk about if you did your project and then you ended up with like a big crack or one of your pieces fell off. What do you do at that point? Okay, so let's deal with the piece that fell off first. You can use regular white glue, will work just fine. I like to put mine in my fine line applicator. I use the standard tip right there, and because this works really great to glue down your pieces. So I have some glue, and I'm just going to put the glue on the back of my piece, and then literally just adhere it back into the place where it fell off. Super simple, right? You went that way. Okay, so glue that down. And sometimes at this point, I will go in and actually even, if I see a little spot that might be lifted or something, I'll put that down. Actually, this one glued down pretty well. I really don't see a whole lot of spots that I need to come in. That was the one that I just glued down a second ago. Okay, so come around, check everything, make sure it's all adhered well and good. So, okay, now let's deal with that big old crack. Let me put my lid on my fine liner real quick so it doesn't dry out. Now when I deal with the crack, I'm going to take some paper clay again. I'm going to grab a small piece here, and I want it to get really wet. So I have a bowl of water right there. I'm just going to throw it in there and get it really, really wet. You want really, really wet clay when you go to fix it. It's something called slip. And slip can also be used as an adhesive, by the way, even wet to dry or dry to dry. So that piece, I could have put some of this paper clay, this extremely wet paper clay, into it and had it work also. But honestly, the glue works, and if I only have a couple pieces and I don't have a big crack like this, that's what I'll do. Now, as you see, this is really getting to the point where it's really, really wet, and that's where I want to be. So also, I want to get my area that I'm going to work on wet. Now, it's not going to get the paper clay per se soft again because it is dry and is now, will never get wet again. So you're just getting the surface wet. Now I'm taking my clay, and I'm just going to smooth it into the crack. So as you see, I only have a little piece in my hand. And I'm literally just going to start smoothing it into the crack with my finger. Okay, and I'm just going to keep adhering that, filling that crack with the very wet paper clay. Now, the smoother you make this at this point, so get lots and lots of water on your hands and rub it in. The smoother you make this, the less work you're going to have to do later, because you really don't want to have to come back in when this dries and do a lot of sanding. So the more you take time and get that crack filled in really well and level with the rest of your piece, the less work you're going to have to do later to soften that, to fix that spot. So that actually looks really good, and I got that really smooth, so I shouldn't have any work to do when I come back to that crack. So now I would let that dry. But while I have this piece out, I want to talk about some other things. Say you did get your piece done and it's dry and it's ready to paint, but you're seeing that you didn't get this really smooth right here or whatever. You can use sandpaper, of course, but honestly I will use sandpapers on like the big areas, but I love these sandits. See that? Sandits. These things are fantastic. They come in multiple sizes. This is medium to fine. It's 120 to 180. This one is 400 to 800 grit, and I'll explain that in a minute, and 120 to 180. And what it means is there's two different sizes to the sandits. There's they almost look like Q-tips to me with sandpaper on the end. So these are what I'll do to get into these really small areas to get it cleaned up and get my spot really clean. Now you could use regular sandpaper that you steal from your husband's workshop, But what's nice about these particular little guys, as you see, is they're going to get into the really small spots. And with sandpaper, it is really difficult to do that. So that's what I love about these. And they actually will last you quite a long time. So they're a good investment. And I will make sure that I link the product in my video when it goes live for you guys. So at this point, you can come in and clean up anything that you think that needs to be cleaned up. Let all of that dry if you have some wet spots like that. And then you would come in and paint. So thank you again for stopping by. I hope this helped.